Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my mini-series in which I'm diving into a very intense and rich and sometimes disturbing deck called The Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And that disturbing aspect is not a reflection on the creator or the deck itself, but on my stuff. It sometimes disturbs my stuff, as any good deck will, right? A lot of us talk about shadow work. Personally, I don't do shadow work. I think all work that is done with the tarot has light and shadow in it. I don't have to do separate, now I'm doing shadow work. I've talked about this before. So I don't specifically do special shadow work. I don't have special decks for shadow work. I have decks. The decks sometimes speak to my light, sometimes speak to the dark, sometimes speak to the blending of both, and the third that can emerge from that, all of that. So this deck does that, and sometimes the deck will push a button, as all good decks will. And why am I rambling on about this? Because a button has been pushed. Advanced warning, buttons have been pushed. So what do? Every day I draw one card from the Tarot of the Holy Light, and I acknowledge the meanings, the thoughts, the symbols that arise for me from my study of different decks, of Golden Dawn based decks. For example, the RWS, the Smith-Waite, the Thoth deck, the Harris Crowley, and all of the recreations and reiterations and redrawings and copies of those decks, because I am a Golden Dawn baby and I'm ready to break out of my Golden Dawn nest and fly with other systems. I started with Tarot de Marseille, and I've started working with this deck as well, which is different from a Golden Dawn deck. This deck is based on Christine Payne-Towler's deep, exhaustive, meaningful research of the continental tarot systems. Yeah, those systems which predate the English, primarily English, Golden Dawn decks. So what do? I pull one card from the Tarot of the Golden Dawn, the Tarot of the Holy Light. I'm a bad boy. Tarot of the Holy Light. And I acknowledge those meetings, those thoughts, those memories I have of similar cards in the Golden Dawn based decks, so that I can try to disassociate them where it seems that they need to be disassociated. Sometimes there are parallel meanings, surely. There are parallel meanings, there are overlaps, there are divergences. So I try to separate those things that I acknowledge as being Golden Dawn meanings, and I try to confront the card as it is and see what I get. And then to help me unpack that, I use my Tarot of the Holy Light, the Lightseers Tarot, the Lightseers Tarot, which is a total RWS deck. And I do a 3-card spread. First card is the obstacle. The first card is the significance. The second card is the obstacle. The third is the advice, a typical 3-card spread. And then I live my day. At the end of the day, I pull out my book for the Tarot of the Holy Light, and I read the meaning for the card as is described by the creator of the deck, and see how those meanings have manifested for me during the day or not. And so that's what I'm doing. And the card that I pulled today is usually one of my very, very favorite cards. I love this card in RWS. And I love this card here, but it came reversed. So I was a little bit on edge when it appeared for me this morning. But let me show you the card upright. This is the 9 of Discs, and it's a beautiful card. And I love the image. I love this earth being, I'm going to say it, this lion looks like it owns the earth. which is a total Leo thing to say because I am a Leo. So I love seeing this crowned lion there. I love seeing this eagle ready for flight. I am Scorpio and I associate eagles with Scorpio. That's my thing. That's the way I learned one of the associations I have, or one of the symbols I have for myself for Scorpios. I'm Scorpio ascendant. I'm a Leo sun. So seeing these two so comfortable and joyous together is wonderful. We see the planet, we see the sun, we see the moon. Yeah, sun, moon. We've got the planets, we've got elements here, we've got everything. Everything's here, and this lush plant life seems very, very much like an enjoyment and a delight of the physical realm and material success. And then the association for this is Mercury in Venus, in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo. And those two are pretty compatible aspects of astrology. Then when we get this reversed, the first thing that came to mind was this Earth is now weighing down on the lion, and the eagle is now plummeting down into the solar system, but instead of rising up, it's ready to plummet down. So I got this feeling of perhaps oppression, kind of a 10 of Wands feeling for a RWS deck. That was the impression. There's still life around, but there's a heaviness to this now, somehow. And so I did my 3-card pull for my Light Seers Tarot, and let me show you those cards right now. Interesting. 3 cards: Ace of Cups, the 7 of Wands, and the 5 of Cups. 2 cups, 1 wand in the center. That 1 wand being 7 wands. And this seemed to be very apropos for me today, and I'll tell you why. But what I first thought was opportunity. What could maybe it was weighing down, what may be burdensome, what may be the heaviness of the material that I was feeling from the reversal of the 9 of discs could be related to some kind of heart emotional reaction to something, which could have been very, very possible for me today, and I think it played out as such, and I'll tell you why. And the obstacle is interesting here. The obstacle is this 7 of Wands, which I think of as being holding your place after the 6, being steady in your place, even with a commotion, either internal or external. People may be trying to rock your boat, yeah, but holding your balance, keeping your solar plexus light shining bright there, in calmness, not fighting back, but just maintaining who you are, your worthiness. Now, why is that an obstacle? Maybe it being an obstacle to a burden could be a benefit. Sometimes the obstacles are beneficial, right? So that came to mind as a possibility. And so the advice is to 5 of Cups. Yes, I used it as a verb, is to 5 of Cups, to let it go. Acknowledge disappointments and let them go. Also recognize that you are holding stuff in your hand which is worthy of delight and worthy of blessing and worthy of feeling blessed. But the stuff that's ready to be let go. And some things might just need to be deliberately knocked over. Because I look at this foot here and this 1 cup that had been full of stuff, she looks like she's deliberately kicking it over. I'm done with this. I'm not necessarily angry, but I'm done. I'm not going to do this. Is no longer worthy of my attention, and let it go. Even more deliberate than letting it go, moving it aside. So that could have been the advice. Might sound a little bit harsh, yeah? So I came home after living my day. It was an interesting day. And then I read the book. Let me read the book to you. And I'll start with the Nine of Discs upright. Now again, upright, this is Mercury in Virgo. And reversed, it's Mercury in Gemini. So, beginning. Two cornucopias pour forth over the fertility of the earth at the feet of the royal lion. Yeah? I just love that upright vision. Green fields and plentiful water represent the terrestrial energies supporting this flourishing domain. From a nest made of his natural bounty, which seems to rest upon the lion's aura, the eagle, so there's that nest resting on the lion's aura, the eagle takes flight into a cloudless sky illuminated by the radiant sun. How much more joyful and how much more bounteous could life seem than that? And again, like I said, Leo, lion, me. Eagle, ascendant, my rising sign, my ascendant sign, the eagle, both represented here. It just makes me feel so warm, fuzzy, happy. Moving on. This is still the upright. Across tarot tradition, the Nine of Discs represents the joy and freedom available to one who has solved the survival challenge and who lives well in relative ease and comfort as a result. So, now it's not particularly referenced at this point, but remember the card drawn by the inimitable Pamela Coleman Smith, that woman in this beautiful gown, in this beautiful garden, full of rich, lush plant life, with a falcon on her arm, and she is the queen of her universe. The absolute satisfaction. And she can get what she wants. She can send that falcon. She can send that falcon off anytime she wants to go grab what she wants. Absolute comfort in her physical realm and satisfied, and feeling the wealth of that. To achieve the Nine of Discs, one's individual character and talents must offer something to the current culture. The current culture will generously support. Both lucky and astutely practical, such a person attracts a steady, trustworthy flow of resources in good times or bad. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be a resource for their community? And being that resource for your community, also having that reciprocal action of feeling supported and having the resources returning to you in a steady, even flow, trustworthy flow. Sounds like a wonderful life to me. Now, there's also the image of the woman being in charge in particularly Pamela Coleman Smith's art, but the woman-led organization is also highlighted here. Christine Payne-Towler mentions the Beguines, which is a group of women that I think is just a remarkable thing that I remember studying in my master's degree program. And it's just a wonderful thing, a community of women coming together in faith, in the desire to pray and work together and support each other, and also support the community around them, to lead their own spiritual lives together, to be the leaders of their spiritual lives together. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing. Anyways, now let's move on to the Nine of Discs reversed. Thus, the Nine of Discs represents, still upright. Thus, the Nine of Discs represents the well-examined life that is truly worth living. Perfection. Now, I'm not going to read a lot about the reverse, but this one sentence I think says it all. When this card is reversed, tension can arise from learned cultural guilt, which is one manifestation of Mercury in Virgo. Cultural guilt. Yeah? The guilt of success, the guilt of feeling abundant, the guilt of feeling that we have more than others. Not the sole purview of Roman Catholics or Christians. That guilt also is in other areas of the world. I mean, other areas of spirituality. It's not solely owned by, for example, Roman Catholics. That's me. But it is particular, especially the idea of guilt. There could be shame in other cultures instead of guilt. There's an interesting thing of, for example, in the Eastern cultures that I've experienced and studied, guilt is not so much the thing, but shame is. Whereas in the cultures that I grew up in, the Western European ones, rather than shame being the important thing, it's guilt. And they're different. And I won't go into those differences now, but I hope that you can feel the difference between shame of you're being a shameful person, not being worthy, or being guilty for there's that I've done something wrong, right? The sin versus shame. There's one thing right there. So some of us learn to feel shame for success. Yeah, first there's that, success. But then we realize that we are perhaps unworthy, or other people are more worthy, or there's that guilt of success. And there's more in here. There's also the idea of great masses suffering to support the few. There's that as well. So I'm going to leave the focus on the guilt of success because I think that might be what was happening for me today. And I think that was the trigger for me today. What happened? Well, I went to get my bicycle today. Bicycle's been in the shop. I took it into the shop and I asked them to do 3 things. I was very clear and they seemed to really understand. One, the brake line had started getting wonky, weak. It's a very interesting, bizarre different brake system. It's not a brake system with cables. It's a hydraulic brake system. And I think some of the fluid had leaked out, and so the brakes they're squishy, for want of a better word. Instead of I started to brake when I start touching them, I have to go almost all the way in before they start feeling an effect. So I asked for that. I asked for the front brake pads on the front tire to be replaced, and I asked for the back wheel instead of going like this, have been wobbly, to have that looked at and find out how to fix that. So I asked for 3 things, and they said they'd get it done. And so they got it actually done on Thursday. They didn't let me know in time for me to be able to get myself there before they closed, and I couldn't go on Friday. So I went, this is Monday morning to go get it. A very nice morning. They don't open their door till 10. I usually leave the house much earlier than that, so I went out. I found a place that was open for coffee. Coffee shops don't open here very early. I found a coffee shop that was open before 10, had coffee, did a little bit of reading, and then I went to get my bike, and they had only done one of the 3 things. The guy said, well, we can't fix the brakes. I told him, but you fixed the brakes before. You added more fluid to them, and he said, okay. So then, but did you change the pads on the front wheel? That's the other thing I asked for. Ooh. So I waited there for him to change the pads, and he took a long time. It wasn't very easy for him, frankly. But I waited, and I kept my mouth shut, and I walked around and did a little bit of shopping. I bought another helmet. I bought a lock. And so I rode my bike out. And today, my goal for today was to find a safe route to our university's 2nd campus, because this semester I've got classes over in the 2nd campus, actually the larger campus. And it's far away from civilization, farther away from civilization than the campus that I'm working at generally and have been working at consistently up until this semester. I've got 1 day of classes at the other campus, and I want to ride my bike because I need to lose some weight, because I gained a lot of weight while I was sitting watching over my mother and isolated in my cabin and all of that from the vacation. So I need to get my body back the way it was before all of that happened. So I'm going to ride my bicycle. And so I figured I needed to find a way to get there safely. So I rode my bike out, and I don't know if you can tell, should not have worn white on a day like this, especially on camper, because I got pretty bloody sunburned. And the reason why I got pretty bloody sunburned was I got lost. I got lost several times trying to find a way to the campus. That's one of my problems. Several problems around this is I've got a wonderful app that gives us maps. That I can't put in my own route, but it gives me a route. I wanted to take a route adjacent to the one that the map showed, because the one that the map showed is not as safe as I want it to be. The road is narrow, there isn't a bike lane, and I don't want to go on a very narrow road where people tend to go a little bit too fast when there's not that much space on the side for safety. So I wanted to go and on a road somewhat parallel to that one. But the app is on my tablet, the thing I'm using to videotape right now, to record a video right now. We don't use tape anymore. To record a video right now. It's big. I can't put it on my bicycle when I'm riding. I have to put it in my bag. So what I do is I pull out the tablet, try and memorize a chunk of the map that I'm going to go, put it back, and try and get as far as I can, and then look at the map again. But I just screwed myself up so badly trying to get there. And what should have been probably an hour ride, or less than an hour ride, ended up being more than an hour. And so I didn't start till after 10 o'clock. So I got the strongest sun and I got a burn. I haven't been out in the sun that much because I've been in isolation and in a hospital as well. So did that, got to the campus, was really, really hot. Fortunately, my lunch was full of water. Raw vegetables, that's my lunch, raw vegetables, raw fruit, and a little bit of protein in chicken breast. So I ate that, had a cup of coffee, and coming back is always easier for me. Going to the place I don't know how to get to I almost always get lost. I almost always miss my way on the map. But now that I've gotten there, I already know the place. I know where it is. Getting there is a lot easier for me. I might take a wonky turn here or there, but I know basically the direction I want to go, and I can sight that with my third eye, with my heart, all of that. So I got back, and then came the thing which was wonderful and triggered me. I actually had a date today. I mean, real live, meet someone in person in a coffee shop date today. First time in a long time. That wasn't just a tarot reading turned into something very interesting. This was an actual, let's meet for coffee, met for coffee, and talk date. And it went maybe better than I had hoped it would go. It went very, very well. It was very, very nice. And we're going to see each other again. The man is definitely above me socially. Financially above me, socially above me. Which shouldn't be a big problem, right? I mean, but to me, that was really, really clear. And he wasn't bragging about anything or flaunting or I did this and I've done that and I have this and I have that. None of that was there. But seeing the experiences he's had and knowing where his mother lives, and he's the owner of a restaurant, and I mean, he's got more money than I do, definitely. And that's a good thing. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. And don't feel guilt. So, that guilt of success. There's this other guy who I've been interested in for a while, but I don't feel like he's not ready to do anything. He's not ready to commit to even think of dating. He might not even be able to stay in the country, frankly. The man I met today is Korean. This other man is not. He's from Sri Lanka. beautiful, beautiful man, but I keep getting yeah, I want butts from him. And definitely that man is a laborer with a little bit of money saved up to buy some land in his own country, but is working really, really hard. I'm not saying the other guy doesn't work hard. He owns a business. He works hard. But that feeling of, okay, so I'm being with this guy from Korea who has money, if that worked out, would be very successful for me. I mean, not like I won the lottery successful, but would it be a very easy, abundant thing for me? I could go on the vacations I want to go on with my money as well, but I wouldn't have to pay for all of the vacation. And he'd be able to take vacations with me. He'd be able to fund his portion, maybe even to kick in a little bit to help me if we wanted to do something a little bit more luxurious. On the other hand, with the other guy, I would probably have to foot the entire bill, and probably he wouldn't have time to take vacations, maybe at all. Maybe going to places that I want to go, he wouldn't even be able to go. I mean, there are those differences. And so I kind of started feeling guilty about my success, my potential success. And I haven't married this guy yet. So, I mean, I'm not putting it that like success, but that potential of a comfortable life started making me feel guilty, if that makes sense to you. Because there's this other guy whose life is not that easy, that I'm also interested in, had been interested in, and now I am interested in. Does that make sense to you? And so, that's why the burden of success and this card together seems to make so much sense. And why maybe the advice is just to let it go. I mean, I'm not saying kick the other guy aside by any means, but kick aside my expectations that I'm going to be able to win him over, you know? I mean, I'm having a little bit of success in that area, but still, kicking over the cup of putting the effort into winning the guy over who maybe wants to be won over, but still may not even be able to stay in the country that I committed myself to. And if I were to go back to the United States, him following me there would be even more difficult. The guy from Korea following me to the United States would probably be fairly easy in some respects. So, and yet I feel guilty a little bit. And I think that's what this is about. I think. Does that make sense? Let me know what you think. If you're still here, hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows that you liked it and other people might as well. It is a show, right? And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the alarm bell if you haven't already so you get notifications of when I upload videos. After this week, I'm going to be cutting back down to like 2 or 3. And if you have any ideas of what you would like to see on this channel, let me know in the comments below. And yes, comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. What do you think about this 9 of Cups, of discs reversed? What do you think about that 5 of Cups as the advice? Let me know. And if you want a private reading from me, my email address is below. Send me an email. We can work it out. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.